Good evening, Franchise League, and welcome to the Spring 2015 official Franchise Awards show. I'm the host, Billy Jackson, your beloved stat keeper, and I'm joined here with Stephen Wolfolds, aka the Wolfman. Wolfman, how are you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. I'm excited for. I think we got good awards going. We got a lot of contentious debate to be had.
As there is every season, yep. All right, great. We've had a good season this season. We have good seasons every season, it seems like. Finally, we got to 9 teams, so we got to, there was some actual, something mattered this regular season. Chemistry Killers didn't make the playoffs as a result of that. But it led to some good action and fight throughout the regular season. Anything to comment on there, Wolf?
Well, we're going to touch on who I think are delusional players, but Tommy coming at me when I was saying that his team didn't put forth the effort that my effort was matching their effort on the court. That last game of the season, I felt like I was kind of vindicated on that one.
Okay.
Where they came out and just laid a big egg.
Okay. All right. So let's get right on to the awards. First award, the big one is MVP, and that is going to go this year to Stephen Wolf. Congratulations, Wolf.
Hold on, commentator Steve is disappearing for a moment, and player Steve is going to show up to accept this award. Got my baby here at the press conference. Billy really sprung for a pretty solid MVP trophy. Thanks, Billy. I feel like some of the other guys got screwed.
Tim's doesn't give us a great budget, but we do what we can with it.
Yeah, this is definitely a team award. I couldn't do this without Corey, Cap, Dan, and Baxter, and Rousseau. Thanks a lot, fellas. I'm humbled and blessed to be mentioned in the same breath as guys like Brett Armstrong and Ryan Fisher and the other great Mike Jochin and the other great players who have won this award. And in honor of the current reigning NBA MVP Stephen Curry, I think I'm going to change the pronunciation of my name to Stephen for the remainder of the season. So I'm now Stephen Wolfolds. So all right.
Very nice. I can tell you didn't plan this at all, and there was no script involved at all in this, Wolf. So that was a very nice impromptu accepted speech.
Thank you. Yeah. And now, commentator Steve has. This was one of the first debates we had. This, with the rule that you can only be eligible for one award. Once you win an award, you're kind of knocked off. I really wanted to put forth my vote for Dan. Billy thought that was just me being, shying away from the limelight, which obviously that little skit showed that I'm one to shy away. No, but I couldn't really come up with couldn't come up when I was talking to Billy about this, but I thought of a good analogy about why I think Dan should have been the MVP. It's he was definitely unquestionably the driving force of the team. He held the ball in his hands. He ran the offense. He ran the show. Our timeouts, we sat there and said, there were times where he said, Dan gets a bucket. That didn't really happen for me. So I kind of think of it as, either he's the jockey and I'm the horse, and I get credit for the win, like I'm American Pharaoh, or I'm the race car and he's the driver, and like he's controlling how our team goes, and it's just a matter of who you want to give credit to. He's like putting me in positions to succeed, and I think he deserved that value aspect. I think he was a bit more irreplaceable than I was this season.
Okay, and I apologize to all the franchise viewers who have had to look at Wolf's face for the last so many minutes. I just learned how to switch back and forth between our faces. So, okay, yeah, I disagreed very much with you. I think you are the best defender on your team, and you're the best offensive player on your team. And I thought it was very clear that you deserve the award. You outscore Dan, you do it at a higher efficiency, And both of you were extremely dominant, I will say that. But I thought you were maybe a little bit more so. And then the kicker just being your defensive presence this season has been phenomenal. So I thought you were certainly more deserving over Dan. Jeremy, I think, had a really good case as I presented in the mid-season awards. And but in the end, Steven, congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm not gonna object too much to it.
All right. So next we'll move on to Offensive Player of the Year, and that award does go to your teammate Dan Barber. So tell us a little about that. Why Dan was deserving of Offensive Player of the Year.
Well, I sat there and thought I thought MVP and Offensive Player of the Year were unquestionably coming down to me and Dan in whatever order a person may want to put them in. As a team, we scored, 14 more points, I think, per game than any other team. That was, we were as a team, we were head and shoulders above the field. And picking a Offensive Player of the Year from a team other than that team seemed a bit shaky. Like some of the people, I'm going to steal your thunder a bit by mentioning the other people that you threw out there with Vladi. Vladi's team played 11 games, and it took them 11 games to score as many points as we scored during the regular season.
Okay, but let me talk about my case for Vladi for a second. I have some notes written down here. So first of all, I felt that I didn't get to watch my own team play, but I felt that your team and Mulhollandaise Sauce had the two most elegant, aesthetically pleasing offenses in the league to watch. What do you think about that?
I don't think you missed anything by watching your team's offense. Not watching your team. That was a good point. Is that Mulhollandaise Sauce offense? I mean, Vladi was unquestionably the engine that drove that team, and that team didn't have quite as many traditional offensive weapons as 7th Floor Crew did. I agree with that.
So that's where I was going with that. So they had one of the prettiest offenses in the league, which Vladi orchestrated. He had great scoring, efficiency, and assist numbers. And I wrote here, and they have some players on the team that are just not very good offensive players. Vladi's a good offensive player. Weatherby's a good offensive player. Joe is a very untraditional offensive player, but Rob, Scott, and Gordon, they're not great offensive players, and he still did a really good job with that team, running a very nice offense. And you guys, I mean, Dan had you to work with. He also had Corey and Cap, who are great role players.
Vladi had a great season, and you're bigger into the honorable mention than I am. I sat there and said, I can't think of anyone who really I can argue above Dan, so I stopped thinking about it. I was very much resistant to the idea of ranking people because I was like, once I know number one, I don't care about 2 and 3.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Vladi was right up there at the beginning. And also Fisher, he deserved a real shout-out too there. Considering, if Barber was the award winner, which we agree upon, but Fisher actually I know he's going to come back firing with this in the forums, he actually scored more points per game at a higher efficiency than Barber and had more assists per game. So he definitely was in the conversation there. But I do think that some of his points came during some garbage time blowouts and whatnot. Well, I guess the same could be said for Dan, actually, quite often. But they both would have been great choices, I think. But in the end, Dan does get the award.
Yeah, and I think blowout wins, we should be more okay with that than blowout losses. He's racking up stats after, in a winning fashion at least.
Yeah, I'm not sure that matters. But let's move along to Defensive Player of the Year. And the winner of that award is Jeremy Colon, my teammate from the Flint Tropics. Jeremy was very worthy of this award. I thought Khalid was in the race also. But generally, we put Jeremy on the best player on the opposing team, and he did a great job almost every week. He D'd up Weatherby once really well. He D'd up Johnny Mulholland. I can think you had a good game against him. I realize, but
I'm the MVP.
you're the MVP. So he can't think off the top of my head any other plays he really shut down, but I do feel like he did it quite frequently. So, anyways, any comments on that?
Um, I defensive player of the year it's always a tough award to give out because so much of stat keeping is tracking the offense that a lot of times you often forget about who is defending the player with the ball. But you sit there. So I used to go by who I thought covered me the best, and based on that criterion, Chris Kerr would have won. I thought Kerr had, he sat there and just made life absolutely awful for me. I couldn't shoot outside. I couldn't drive by him. He probably had 6 blocks on me that he only got credit for 3 because whoever keeps stats for my games is a little stingy. But if you were to ask me heading into the season who I think was the best individual defender in franchise, I would have picked Jeremy. I think Jeremy sat there and, made life difficult for anyone he covered. And so I don't see a reason to give it to anyone else. I don't think anyone else had a spectacular enough season to shy away from just giving it to the guy who I thought was the best defender.
Fair. Nice commentary, Wolf. All right, so let's move along to the next award. Congratulations, Jeremy.
Can we? There was a few other players who I think deserve some shout-outs for defensive player. I thought,
yeah.
Well, the Joe Horner Defensive Player of the Year is what we gave out, and he had a fabulous season. Coming off the previous season, I think he had lost a bit of his luster as this stud defender, but he gained that back and more this season, I thought. He's just an absolute terror in the passing lanes. And honestly, there are times I'm in the balcony, I'm like, why do you pass the ball to Joe's man? It's almost a guaranteed breakaway layup.
Yeah. Kerr is a guy I forgot about also, and you're totally spot on. I really should have thought about him right from the get-go, and he slipped my mind. He's a definite contender for that award. And Joe, too, especially in the last few weeks, I've seen Joe really ripping off those steals and going coast to coast with them.
And my teammate and who already has one Defensive Player of the Year award under his belt, Matt Kaplan, who just makes sure that he's like a coach on the defensive end. There's a point guard who runs the offense. He's the point guard who runs the defense. And if you think we have a good defensive squad, a lot of it has to go to Cap.
That's high praise. High praise right there. All right, so let's move on to the next award, Rookie of the Year. And we both agreed that we would go to Matt Weatherby from Mulholland Sauce. Any comments there, Wolf?
We both thought Weatherby was a fantastic rookie this season. Where we disagreed was more on the contenders. I was big on Roy. I think his last name is pronounced Gantus. I don't know.
Gantus. Nobody knows, actually.
I thought it would have been nice to give the Rookie of the Year award to a guy named Roy. That would have been fun. But aside from that, I think he was 5th in the league in scoring on a top 4 seed. He had a good individual season. I think I'm one of them. I criticized the way I think he plays on the boards and in write-ups. But simply because you don't like the way a guy plays doesn't mean he's not playing well. Just because you think he can play better doesn't mean he's not being productive. And I think some of that is penalizing Roy in people's mind. That said, I don't necessarily think he deserves it more than Weatherby. I just thought he was right there neck and neck, and you didn't necessarily think so.
No, I didn't. I thought Asher was a good choice. He really carried that offense. He also is, I think, a top 5 scorer in the league, if I'm not mistaken. And also, there were some nights when Hex and Swecker both didn't show up, and he really had to carry that offense by himself. And I don't remember if they won or not necessarily, but they put up some good fights in those games. And I thought he was pretty deserving.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously Dan would have won Rookie of the Year if he didn't get Offensive Player of the Year. That would have been an easy choice. in past seasons, I may have given the Offensive Player of the Year to Fisher just to make the cop out decision to give Dan the Rookie of the Year. But he really stepped right up into a higher level of play than a draft that he played in the season before, and delivered everything that Baxter had hoped.
Very good. All right, so let's move on to the next award, GM of the Year. We got to give that to Dave Baxter. He put together the best team that, quite frankly, dominated much of the season. And he was without himself, too, who's a good player. So this is no pity award for the injury. He just put together a great team. And they would have been even better if he was there playing, too. So he's definitely a very worthy award. I thought, Scott Mulholland, Kuz, Maz were also, in the conversation. Am I missing anybody, Wolf?
Billy, don't sell yourself short. You had a fantastic job as a general manager. Unlike Baxter, you're stuck with the handicap of assuring that one of your 6 spots is you. So to come up with a quality team after that requires some clever.
Ouch! That hurts, Wolf. That hurts.
Whereas, unlike other leagues, every player is eligible for every captain in theory. So you have to have a really good reason not to give it to the team that finishes with the best record. I don't think any team really came up with a good enough reason. So I'm 100% on board with the Baxter Award.
All right. So now we have some additional awards to give out. The first award is the honorary B-Jack's Best Hair Award. Very fitting that I would present this award. And I'm very pleased to hand it to my teammate, Brian Mariani, for his first ever CAC award. So, I think. So, I think he's very deserving. Right from the get-go, there was maybe a little bit of a tension in the Flint Tropics locker room over this hair controversy, if you will. But he's very awarding. I have a lot of respect for him, and I think it was a mutual respect.
I'm sure he is ecstatic by the fact that his first CAC award is the Billy Jackson Best Hair Award. He has fabulous hair. You have fabulous hair. I thought during when we were deciding who deserves this award, you didn't even mention me, and I feel like I got a solid quaff going right now. But
True story for a moment, if I could interrupt. There was a night when Wolf and I were walking out of CAC together, and Wolf was trying to force me to feel his hair, his sweaty hair. Talk about what a thick head of hair he had. He really wanted me to feel it. I didn't, of course. And maybe if I had, maybe you would have been in the running, Wolf. So maybe I get a little bit of a disservice there.
I think Khalid deserves a mention for best hair. Honestly, I would say the Flint Tropics were basically the 2007 Patriots of hair, right down to the lack of perfection because of Jeremy. He's the Super Bowl loss of hair. That team. But if we're going to compare that team to the 2007 Patriots, I think we also have to mention that the Jerk Store is the 2008 0-16 Lions of hair, because there was not a good head of hair on that team. Mulholland comes closest, but I think they make him grow crappy facial hair to make up for the fact that he has too good of a head of hair.
Mulholland, I mean, the only thing you can say about Mulholland is it looks like he gets his haircut at a Supercuts or something like that. I mean, we all know that real men would go to a barber to get a haircut once you turn, 15 years old or so. But, yeah. Kuz, no words need to be said. Lens.
I'm not going to call out anyone individually. You know who I'm talking about when I say the Jerkster has bad hair. You probably do.
All right, we'll move along then. So the next award we have is the another award named after a very well-loved former franchise player. It's the Honorary Stat Best Dressed Award. And that award this year went to Vladi Neshev.
Yeah. I'm a little upset that I wasn't allowed to hand out this award. I felt like in Stat's absence, I've kind of done a pretty good job of picking up the mantle of cut, tight, brightly colored pants and, occasionally, pretty clever, nice looking boots and whatever it has, whatever have you. But in terms of Vladdy deserving this award, he has really stepped up his fashion. He has shown up in a bye week with a shirt and tie to watch the award play. It was this, I couldn't take it. He won the award in like week 6 based on that.
Yeah, and I totally dropped the ball on not letting you hand off that award. Yeah, you're second place in my book for that award. Another shout out to Rob Lund. He doesn't come out in the professional attire, but his athletic apparel is like on point. Like his shorts, undershirts, full body length suits, whatever he wears, are always really on point. Anything on that?
Yeah, he has like nice, bright, interesting colors when he wears it. His socks match the shorts usually. I wholeheartedly agree. He comes with, as far as athletic gear, he and Brett, I think, usually have some pretty good stuff too, but Brett's not quite on the level that Rob Lund is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the All-League honors.
I think we skipped the Matt Furman 5th man of the season.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that should have been like 3 awards ago. All right, so 5th Man of the Year award, the Matt Furman award. I like that one. Although he did start his last season that he was in franchise on a pretty good team.
I honestly don't know who starts when this came up as we were talking about who deserves to win this award. I guess I can go ahead and say that I thought Brendan Mahoney deserved some consideration because in my mind, he kind of functions as a 5th man. But it turns out that he started all 9 games this season, so he was disqualified.
Yeah, Brendan did start all 9 games this season, so was disqualified. We had to disqualify a few of Wolf's candidates because of that. So the winner of that award this year goes to Liam Crane, who I thought was very deserving. He's a balcony favorite in Franchise League amongst everyone. Anything else on that?
Yeah, no. Liam is my preseason. He's going to be my preseason prediction for someone to get overpaid because every single captain says, "I want Liam on my team." He goes out there. He doesn't. He's not a traditional quality basketball player. Like he doesn't shoot. He's not a knockdown shooter, but he sits there and hustles and makes smart plays, and he's an absolute terror on the offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and you mentioned him getting overpaid next year. I think he was actually a little overpaid this year. I mean, he's a very nice player. Big fan of him, but I think he got $15 this year.
Oh, yeah, that's what did the MVP get paid? I
don't know. Yeah, 15 is a little too heavy. I mean, I would gladly pay $8 for Liam, cap money. But I think 15 is a little too rich. I could see him going in the 10 to 12 range, though. He doesn't score a ton of points, and when he does, it's not the prettiest, but it's amazing. He gets, twice as many assists as field goals made. He doesn't turn the ball over. Offensive rebounds more than defensive rebounds. He's one of the top 3 offensive rebounders on his team, as one of the smallest guys on the team. So everybody likes Liam.
As far as offensive rebounding, John Mulholland is number 1 in who I'd say we have to keep him off the offensive boards. Liam might be number 2 in terms of scouting reports.
Wow.
Like you sit there and say he's really effective because he is going to crash the boards and disrupt the flow of our team.
Wow. All right. So maybe we'll just name the All-League honors. We're running a little long on time here, Wolf. So first team All-Franchise goes with Dan Barber, Ryan Fisher, Jeremy Colon, and Stephen Wolf. I think that was Wolfolds. I apologize.
Stephen?
What's that? Stephen Wolfolds. So I thought we were pretty much in agreement on that one. I thought that those are pretty obvious choices.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can't even come up with a compelling argument to even potentially name someone else. Those four seem to be a good head and shoulders above the rest of the players this season.
Yeah. All right. So for second team, and Wolf has not yet been made aware of these teams. For second team, we have Vladi Neshev, Mark LeBlanc, Matt Weatherby, and Asher Cowan.
I'm ecstatic to see Mark LeBlanc on second team. I thought, true shooting percentage is probably going to overstate his value a little bit. It's easy to lead the league if you don't shoot that many shots.
But Mark shot a pretty lot this season.
Just compare it
down the
to
stretch.
The second place game.
Down the stretch.
No, compared to the second place in true shooting percentage, he didn't shoot a lot.
Okay.
No, but I thought Mark had a fabulous season. I sat there. In my personal thing, I had him on third team. I wanted to push him higher. I had Roy on second team. We've already gone over our difference of opinion on his season. I'm completely on board with Mark having the best season of anyone just for this season.
All right, thank you. And the third team, we have Maz, Nick Mazzeo, Brett Armstrong, Khalida Bukadija, and Terry Henderson.
Maz over Roy is, I just don't know. Roy was the clear cut. Whether or not, again, you agree with the philosophy, Roy was he was given the keys to that team, and he put up big numbers, and the team did fairly well.
All right, let me ask you a little about those big numbers. How many more points per game did Roy score than Maz?
I would guess 3.
Exactly, 3. Maz also averaged an assist per game more, and he probably played less minutes, and he shot at a higher efficiency. So I have trouble saying, and I thought Maz played great defense this year also. I would have trouble saying that Roy really drove the offense. He scored maybe 3 points a game more, like we said, less assists, more playing time, less efficiency.
Maz was my last cut on my all-league team.
Okay.
I had Roy on second team. I put LeBlanc right over Maz, basically because I thought LeBlanc and Maz kind of ended up in the same role, and I really thought LeBlanc played his role a bit better. I think if you switched Maz with LeBlanc this season, LeBlanc would be a better complement to Roy. Maz and Roy were is a two alpha dog problem, I think.
Okay.
I have big opinions on Terry making third team. He put up numbers, they feel empty. And honestly, when you're playing when you cover the league that you're in, you have to judge by how players play against you. And Terry did not play like an all-league team player in either game against 7th Floor Crew. I would have put on Dan Popko, who didn't have the numbers, but who I thought made some clutch plays. He made clutch free throws, clutch blocks. He's one of those guys who I thought had a good season on a surprising team, and I think I picked them to finish last. They finished, I think, 5th, and I think a lot of it was due to Popko playing a bit better than I thought he was going to play.
Okay. Yeah, and it comes down to what games we watch, too. I saw the game when Terry had 49, 9, and 8, which I think you missed that game. I saw another game when he had like 37, 8, and 7. And I've also seen some of Popko's really bad games, too, so I think it comes down to that a bit. Okay. All right, so the next team we have is the All Delusional team, everyone's favorite franchise team. We got some perennials making the list again this year, and a couple newcomers. So this season we have Keith Baranowski, Damian Ruff, Stephen Wolfolds, and Brett Armstrong.
Uh, when I was told I was going to be on this team, my first comment to Billy was, a truly delusional person would have no idea why he's on this team. I'm a little like hesitant to say this, but like I legit have no reason. I have no idea why I'm on this team.
A few conversations I've had with you at least put you in there and me, and don't feel too bad. I was myself on the short list also. I had myself somewhere around sixth. But yeah, I've got you solid. Congratulations on the on making the award.
Can I just say that you leaving yourself off the team is probably the most delusional like award or statement in franchise history. Let's just be real about that one.
All right. All right. So next, just a few more awards to go before we wrap this up. The next all league team I'd like to give out is the All B-Jacks team. And these are players that I would just really enjoy playing with. Maybe not, well, yeah, maybe superstars to some extent. Guys that I think I would play well with. And so for there, I have Tim Lenz, Alex Grimble, Terry Henderson, and Johnny Mulholland. All guys that I'd love to play with. Lenz, mostly just because if I'm playing with him, that means I don't have to play against him. I think Grimble is a guy everybody would like to play with. Terry, very unselfish player, team-oriented player. And Johnny Mulholland, I've always been a fan of his ever since the first season. Ryan Fisher almost made the cut at first, but I think he would have a bit of a problem playing shooting guard while I, of course, play point guard of the team.
You were left off the all delusional team? You asked me to come up with a similar team of guys who I'd like to play with. I didn't really do it. I can try to do off the cuff. Marc LeBlanc is number one on the list of guys who I'd want to play with. He sits there and makes, he makes smart plays. He knocks down open threes. I played against him in the Saturday league now, and like when given the freedom to run an offense, he drops huge numbers of points. He's clearly capable of putting out more than what he does in franchise, but what he does in franchise, he does well. Like he led the league in true shooting percentages. There's no question that's the type of guy that you want to have on your team. Someone who we've kind of gone back and forth on is I think playing with Asher would be great. I think he's very similar to LeBlanc. That he doesn't. He shoots a good amount, but I think he does so in a predictable way. Like he has his spots. I don't think he necessarily forces bad shots. He posts up, he shoots the fadeaway over people, and then he spots up in shoots threes. There's a clear, guys who can catch kickouts and knock down open threes are guys that I just want to play with. Which brings I forgot to mention that I wanted to mention Corey for the fifth man of the year award. For some reason, you made him ineligible, and I want an explanation as to why.
Well, because he's a starter. Is that good enough reason?
Got hurt.
I'm sorry, what's that, Wolf?
After Baxter got hurt, he moved into the starting lineup.
Oh yeah, and he was definitely a candidate for a while. Although, I would say he did not play that well in the bench. I remember I was pretty critical of him the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And then once he became a starter, I thought his game actually flourished. What are your thoughts on that at all?
He has unquestionably stepped up in Baxter's absence. Our offense hasn't missed a beat, which going from a traditional 2-guard, 2-forward offense to a 3-guard, 1-forward offense is there was definitely a chance for things to kind of go haywire, but he has stepped up and has delivered in every way that we could possibly want him to. Yeah,
so I'm sure he would have been in the consideration, in the running. I mean, assuming his play had turned around. I don't think that he would have won it if his play had kept up, but I don't think his play would have kept up the way it did early in the season. So, he was a starter anyway, so it's a moot point in my opinion. All right, so did you give me 4 people for that all Wolf team?
No, I only gave you LeBlanc and Asher. I will. I'm not
Wolf
entirely
only
sure.
needs 2 people. Wolf only needs 2 teammates to win a game, apparently.
I have some. I would agree with you on Mahalan. I think Mahalan would be a player I'd like to play with. I probably could have if Kuz ever bid on me. I know my hair's too good to play on Jerk Store. But I'm not sure I get the Terry. You've played with me. Doesn't playing with Terry just like playing with a less productive version of me?
I've never played with Terry before, so I actually have no idea. Not even pick up, nothing. He just looks like a good type of teammate. I remember in the early days in franchise, he sent me a very, how do you say, unenthusiastic email trying to recruit me to choose his team. Probably back in the second season. I didn't end up going with them, but ever since I've kind of had a wondered what if a little bit. So I think I would like playing with him. Chris Kerr is another one. Chris Kerr is a guy who I left off the team. Who maybe I should have mentioned there.
I mean, I've
Wolf?
okay. I played with Kerr on 5-on-5. He's a fabulous teammate. He should be on that list. He'd be on my list to play with on franchise, but it's kind of cheating because I've already played with him.
I see. Fair enough. All right, so last 2 awards to give out. First one is Play of the Year. No-brainer here. # the bank shot. Gordon Sheffield. I don't think you were there to see the play, Wolf, but it was incredible. I kind of barely saw it out of the corner of the eye myself. I was looking up at the scoreboard. But the place just erupted. It was quite the scene there. And so that's the clear winner of Play of the Year for franchise. And I didn't have anything for Worst Play of the Year, even though I thought we should have a Worst Play of the Year, and I figured if we dug deep, we could get one. And I think you got one for us, Wolf, you said?
Yeah, no, I have a clear-cut Worst Play of the Year. Let me set the stage. It's at the end of overtime, Brett Armstrong is sizing up his defender, who is Mike Kuzdaba. And Brett really, he shook him a little bit, got just enough space to go around Mike. For reasons beyond me, decided to foul him and threw Brett right into the wall as time expired and allowed Brett to knock down 2 free throws to ice the game.
Devastating. You don't expect that from a veteran like Kuz either.
I was a little disappointed with his reaction too. I believe he stormed off the court. It was not from the Billy Jackson, book of leadership.
He must not have bought it yet. It's in a bookstore near you. All right.
Yeah.
Wolf, well, that's all I've got for today. I thought there was a pretty successful award show. A lot of people got awards. Before we sign off, anything else you have to say about the regular season?
I thought it was a great regular season, and I have to really thank, I don't want to give anyone bulletin board material, but the fact that 2 of the 4 teams who lost are teams that beat 7th Floor Crew is definitely something that gave us some minor cause for celebration. We liked the way the field broke down.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Franchise, hope you enjoyed this video, this award ceremony, and we will see some of you on Tuesday.
Take it easy.